Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called Lying Users. This happened in the 80s. I have a good friend, Rick, who worked IT at an airport with an old computer system. This computer system was not user-friendly. Anything that he wanted to do required a string of commands. Some commands made sense, while others you just had to memorize, because you would never figure it out on your own. Rick got a call from two women having an issue. They had to get a certain report, and the input they were using wasn't working. He recognized that report as one of the aforementioned. The commands don't make sense, but you get the report you want. He told them all this, and told them the command to put in exactly. They put him on hold, and when they came back, said no, it's not working. This shocked him, because if you have the command right, it works, 100%. So Rick had them read the input back to him. They did, and he verified that it was correct, but they said that it still wasn't working. After a few more minutes of troubleshooting, where they were getting more and more irate, he finally ran the report himself and sent it over to them by courier. And then another coworker called. He and Rick were good friends, and this guy had been working in the same office as the two women and had watched them try to get this report. He told Rick, "Do you know what they were doing when they put you on hold? They had written down the input, but they talked among themselves and decided that you didn't know what you were talking about. And so instead of trying the command you told them to try, they entered their own command. And when you had them read back the input, they didn't read what was on their screen. They only read back what they had written down, ignoring the fact that their screen commands were completely different. Because you obviously didn't know the report we wanted. Why call IT if you are going to ignore everything they say and then lie about what you are doing?" I guess they got their report in the end, but it took them a lot longer than if they had just followed directions in the first place. The next story is called Server Room Aircon. Our aircon recently died in our server room. Luckily, it's basically a separate room in our office. Thus, we used our office aircon with the server room door open, hoping to get our aircon replaced. Our chairman saw the crowds and decided to instead knock a hole in the wall and put in a big old fan, not a particularly sealed unit. Now at this point, my boss and the CEO were on holiday. Myself and the other IT guy tried to explain that this is a very bad idea, but we were essentially told to stay out the way and let them do it. Now we have a hole in our server room wall and a fan. My boss flipped his lid obviously, but our chairman said it works. Currently, it's now hotter in our server than outside, and we still have to use our office aircon to keep cool. The chairman still thinks his idea is excellent. Both my boss and the CEO cannot convince him to replace the aircon. We are a national company with a bunch of locations, but all IT is done from the head office, and the equipment in the server room is worth roughly 100k to replace. If we take our time shopping around for the best quote, it's a mess. The third story is called Even Friends Lie. I've been a software developer since the 80s, so everyone assumes that I can help them with their tech issues. I was having lunch with a friend, and he was complaining about his Android phone and how he needs to get a new one. It turns out for the last couple of weeks, he has been getting a bunch of pop-ups every time he unlocks his screen. I asked him if he had installed any new apps, and of course he denied it. I asked if I could take a look, and he reluctantly gave it to me. I looked at the last used apps and noticed a dodgy looking poker game app that coincidentally was installed the same time the pop-up started. I uninstalled the app, restarted his phone, and mercifully the pop-ups had gone away. I suppose 40 plus years as a developer taught me to first ask what changed when a problem occurs. But to a lot of people, it sounds like some kind of problem analysis sorcery. The next story is called Mice Problem. About a year ago, my partner would get this weird case, where the Wi-Fi on her work surface would just stop. It would drop from whatever network it was connected to, and then just refuse to reconnect for anywhere between 5 minutes and an hour. This wasn't just her, but a few of her colleagues too. This happened at home and in the office, but had no set time. Her phone was temperamental at best, and hated, and I mean hated, the 5G Wi-Fi on our home router, resulting in my having to disable and limit it to the 2.4 GHz bands. For reasons I don't know, it turns out her work Wi-Fi was also limited to 2.4. One day, her complaining while working from home just made me need to find out the cause of this issue. And my own job be damned if I couldn't figure it out. I turned off anything that could interfere with Wi-Fi at home, but the problem still occurred. I turned off my work laptop, TV, consoles and both phones. Still problems. I tried everything. Then I saw it. The only thing I hadn't turned off that wasn't hardwired was her wireless mouse. That couldn't be it. I unplugged her mouse. Wi-Fi connected. I plugged her mouse back in. Things worked for 5 minutes, until the Wi-Fi disconnected again. I unplugged her mouse again. Reconnected. Turns out her mouse somehow used a frequency that messed with Wi-Fi within a certain radius, but only on 2.4 G bands. She told her colleagues who were having the same problem. All of their wireless mice were disconnected, and every problem related to Wi-Fi just disappeared. She has since switched to a new phone that doesn't complain about 5G, so that function is back on, but she's banned from using wireless mice at home. Turns out mice don't just chew through wires after all. The last story is called Email Signature. I work for an MSP. We have some customers, including this one, who cannot afford downtime due to the nature of their business. They used to run on a self-hosted email server, which was dying a slow death. So whenever there was even a slight blip in their emails going down or running slowly, our phones would light up. We received several calls one day to say that everybody's emails are running slowly and they are finding it impossible to work. Every email takes 10+ seconds to open and it is impeding their workflow. I connect to a machine and test it out for myself, see the exact issue several times over, then notice that the issue doesn't occur on every email, only the ones with their signature in it. I also noticed that the email signatures have changed slightly since I last spoke with them. I sent a test email to myself for further analysis, at which point I determine that their new email signatures are 12 megabytes in size. The email signatures are a single image, no text. This has always been the case, but now they had a new design, thanks to a new member of their marketing department, who must surely have some expertise in Photoshop and should know that making an email signature 9000 times 14,000 pixels is ridiculous. Of course not. The marketing department created a humongous template, passed it onto the office administrator, who doesn't know any better, then tasked her with creating 100+ signatures for the entire business, including an instruction sheet on how to change your email signature. Cue every member of the company complaining about Outlook slowing to a crawl. I explained the issue to the office admin, who is handing all of these email signatures out. Suggest that she speaks with the user in marketing who created the template, then distributes new, smaller email signatures to everybody again. I even offer a few ideas on the most efficient way to go about this, but I never receive a response. I do, however, see users' emails begin to speed up over the course of the next week or so. The strange part now is that every email signature seems to be slightly different resolutions, even some looking somewhat blurry. Eventually, user 1 out in the field calls our office, saying he's having problems attaching his new email signature. I connect, ask him to show me where the file is, and he points to a PDF on his desktop, saying that he can't find the option to attach it. I explain that you can't attach a PDF, you need the image file. I suggest you speak with the office administrator and ask her to send you this again in the right format. User 1 says, no problem, will do. I disconnect and we end the call. User 1 then emails me plus the Office administrator, requesting the signature in an image format. The Office administrator replies, "That's the correct format, just follow the instructions attached." It turns out that their apparent workaround to the issue is the following: recreate the email signature in Photoshop, not reduce the resolution of the signature at all, print them as a PDF, still in 9K x 14K. Send the PDF to the relevant user with a signature in it. Advise the user to open the PDF, open Snipping tool, and take a screenshot of the signature in the PDF. Save the screenshot, then use that as your email signature. This explains why the signatures were all different sizes and of different quality. I tried again to advise that this wasn't an efficient way to manage their signatures, but was met with silence in response. Eventually, the users changed their signatures, using their internally advised method, leaving them all with mismatched email signatures. At least Outlook was running better again for everybody. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.